$1,000 a month in dividends, just sitting there, hitting your bank account while you sleep, while you travel, while you do absolutely nothing. It sounds incredible. And the internet will tell you it is totally achievable. What the internet conveniently leaves out is the number you actually need sitting in a brokerage account to make that happen. And when most people finally see that number, they close the tab and never come back. Today, we are not closing the tab. Today, we are doing the math together. Honestly, even when it stings. Let me set the scene. You have probably seen those posts. Someone with a color-coded spreadsheet showing their dividend income growing month after month. Maybe you got inspired, opened a brokerage account, deposited a few $1,000s, and waited. Then your first dividend payment arrived. Enough to buy yourself a mediocre sandwich. Maybe not even that. Welcome to the moment where reality collides with the dream. That collision is exactly what this video is about. Before we dive in, nothing in this video is financial advice. I am not a licensed advisor. I am someone who genuinely loves breaking down the mechanics of money and sharing what the numbers actually say. If that is useful to you, hit subscribe and stick around because we are going to cover a lot of ground today. So here is where we start. The goal is $1,000 every single month. That is $12,000 per year, flowing into your account purely from dividends. That is the translation that most people miss. The stock market does not speak in monthly terms. It speaks in annual yields. So that $12,000 annual figure is your real target number, and everything else flows from one simple formula. Divide your target income by the dividend yield of your portfolio. That is it. Income divided by yield equals the capital you need. Now let us run that calculation with realistic numbers. A well-diversified portfolio of quality dividend-paying stocks typically yields somewhere between 3 and 4% annually. If you use 4%, which is on the more optimistic end of responsible investing, you take $12,000 and divide it by 0.04. The answer is $300,000. That is what you need invested to generate $1,000 a month at a 4% yield. If you are being more conservative at 3%, that number climbs to $400,000. Suddenly, that $500 deposit you made last month looks a little different. Here is why this math hurts psychologically. We focus on share prices. We think about accumulating stocks without ever calculating whether those stocks actually pay meaningful income. A stock trading at $100 might pay $1 a year in dividends. Another stock at $50 might pay $2. The price tells you almost nothing about the income. We get seduced by the idea of owning more shares, when what we actually need to be tracking is our total yield-weighted portfolio value against that $300,000 target. And right now, I can already hear your brain working on what it thinks is a clever workaround. You are thinking, why settle for 4% when some stocks are paying 8, 9, or even 10%? If I buy those, I only need around $120,000. Half the money, same income. That logic is a trap, and it has wiped out more accounts than any market crash I can name. When a stock is yielding 9 or 10%, the market is not rewarding you. The market is warning you. Here is the mechanics of what actually happens. A dividend yield is calculated by dividing the annual payout by the current stock price. If a stock falls in value because the company is struggling, the yield percentage goes up automatically, even though nothing got better. So you see a 10% yield on your screen. But what created it is a stock that already lost half its value. Often those companies are paying dividends they cannot actually sustain. They are borrowing money or liquidating assets to keep cutting those checks. Eventually, they slash the dividend entirely. Now you own a stock that pays nothing. And because the dividend is gone, the share price craters further. You chased the yield to save capital and ended up destroying the capital you started with. Stick to the 3 to 5% range where companies are genuinely profitable, financially stable, and often growing their dividends year over year. Now here is something that surprises a lot of people. If you are thinking of using a broad index fund like an S&P 500 fund as your dividend engine, the math gets even harder. The current dividend yield on the S&P 500 hovers around 1.3 to 1.5%. Those big tech companies, the ones dominating the index, Either pay tiny dividends or none at all. Run our formula at 1.5%, and you need $800,000 to generate $12,000 a year. That is nearly $1 million. To hit the same goal that a targeted dividend portfolio achieves at $300,000. Index funds are phenomenal for long-term wealth building, but they are not optimized for generating spendable cash flow right now. A smarter approach for many investors is a hybrid strategy. Keep your core wealth-building engine in broad market index funds for the growth, but build a secondary income-focused layer using dividend ETFs that specifically filter for higher-yielding quality companies. If you blend the two, you might land somewhere around a 2.5 to 3% blended yield, which brings your capital requirement down to a range that is actually achievable for someone with a real savings plan. Speaking of savings plans, let us talk about how you actually reach that $300,000 mark, because this is where most people give up. The dividend snowball concept is real, but there is a phase that nobody warns you about. In the early years, roughly your first 5 to 7 years, your own monthly contributions do the overwhelming majority of the work. The dividends you earn are reinvested, but they are so small they barely move the needle. You might have $10,000 invested at 4% generating $400 a year. That is not freedom money. That is a minor inconvenience solved. During this phase, your savings rate is more important than anything else you could possibly optimize. Which stocks you pick, which yield percentage you chase, none of it matters as much as how much new money you are adding every single month. This is what I call the valley of despair in dividend investing. You are months or even years in. You have sacrificed, you have been disciplined, and your monthly dividend income is still embarrassingly small. This is precisely the moment most people quit, often making an emotional purchase that wipes out months of progress. What you need to understand is that the flatness of this early period is not a signal that something is broken. It is the nature of exponential growth. The curve is flat at the start and explosive at the end. The way you survive this phase is through ruthless automation. Turn on your broker's dividend reinvestment plan, often called a DRIP. Every fraction of a cent paid in dividends automatically purchases more shares. You never touch it. You never see it. You never spend it. Automate your monthly contributions from your checking account too. Remove every decision point where willpower could fail you. Then, seriously, stop checking your account every day. Measure your progress quarterly by share count, not dollar value. If you own more shares today than you did 90 days ago, you are winning. Now, here is something that even dedicated dividend investors overlook until it genuinely hurts them. Taxes. Once you start generating meaningful dividend income, the IRS becomes an uninvited participant in your cash flow. Most dividends from traditional U.S. companies are classified as qualified dividends and taxed at lower capital gains rates, usually 15% for most people. That is manageable. But if you drift into high-yield territory, specifically REITs or business development companies, those payouts are often taxed as ordinary income, the same rate as your salary. If you are in a higher bracket and add state taxes, you could lose a third of every dollar you receive. A 6% yield from one of those instruments might realistically net you 4% after taxes. You have to calculate after-tax yield, not headline yield, when doing your planning. This is where the concept of asset location becomes genuinely powerful. Put your tax-inefficient high-yield holdings inside tax-sheltered accounts like IRAs, where the dividend income compounds without an annual tax haircut. Keep your qualified dividend stocks in standard taxable brokerage accounts where the tax rate is lower anyway. This one structural decision, made before you start buying, can be worth tens of thousands of dollars over a long enough time horizon. If you are serious about building a strategy that actually gets you to financial freedom faster, and not just theoretically, but with a real step-by-step roadmap, you should check out the Wealth Accelerator Academy. It is a group coaching system and full course designed specifically to help people build the kind of financial structure we are talking about right now. The link is in the description below. People inside that community are not just watching videos about dividends. They are building actual plans with guidance, accountability, and a community moving in the same direction. Check it out when this video ends. Let us bring everything together. The dream of $1,000 a month in passive dividend income is absolutely achievable. But the path there is not a shortcut. It requires you to accumulate somewhere between $250,000 and $400,000 in quality income-producing assets depending on your yield target. It requires you to resist the temptation of flashy double-digit yields that are statistically more likely to destroy your capital than build your income. It requires years of boring, consistent contributions during a phase where your results feel completely invisible. And it requires structuring your accounts intelligently so the tax system does not quietly drain what you spent years building. The dividend snowball is real, but it is not magic. It is math applied with patience and discipline over time. And when it finally tips into momentum, when your portfolio crosses that threshold, where dividends alone exceed what you contribute, the acceleration is genuinely remarkable. You stop being the engine, and the money becomes the engine. That transition is entirely worth the years it takes to get there. Drop your target in the comments right now. What is your personal freedom number? $1,000 a month? $2,000? $5,000? And what yield are you planning to use to get there? I genuinely want to see where everyone is in this process. If this breakdown helped you avoid even one bad yield-chasing decision, do me a favor and hit the like button. It takes 1 second and it helps this video reach someone else who needs to hear the honest version of this math. And if you are ready to stop learning about financial freedom and actually start building it, the Wealth Accelerator Academy link is waiting for you in the description. I will see you in the next video.